All right, now in our Freezone tapes, we talked about finding the free zone or the dead zone, the place where nothing, the top of the ladder is working, the bottom of the ladder is working, the middle of the ladder is doing nothing, so that's where I climb off. I don't want to go where there's work going on and I have to compete with it. So what I do is, let's say I go yum, 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 that's the action. I look down below, find out where it reacts. Yum, 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 yum. Oh, it's way down here in my epigastrium. So what I do is I find the free zone between those 2 points, and I go yum, 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 yum. Now, once I find that, I want to practice my crescendo decrescendo. So I go, make the smallest sound I can. It can be falsetto in the male voice, can be anything, just what's the smallest sound you can make. Then I go, so am I still in my free zone? That's the question. Well, let's try another one. Big action here, big reaction there. I'm singing between the action and the reaction, right? So when I do that now, now I'm going to practice my crescendo decrescendo. Now, the reason for this tape today is to learn how to do expansions. If I can expand my free zone, then the bigger the drum, the bigger the sound. I can make my sound absolutely bigger. And it's almost like when I learned it, I thought, God, this is just a trick or something, right? But it works like crazy. If I'm doing my crescendo decrescendo and I suddenly, well, you see what I do. I'm in the free zone right in here. What did I do? Some people call it the breath jerk. That's Lily Layman called it the breath jerk. In other words, you pull it in, suddenly you pull it down your spine, and you literally enlarge your free zone. And that enlargement can be done different ways. It is generally done in the direction opposite and equal. You pull in two directions at the same time. If I've got it here and I'm singing, let's say I'm gonna stop my breath in between my shoulder blades. All right, so the angle is pretty much like this. So now I'm going to pull when I go. Whatever the angle is, I'm going to continue pulling and stretching it. It's more of a feeling of stretching something open than it is of pushing or yelling or anything like that. It's not doing what I do at the football game when I yell. I'm doing very carefully. I'm doing a stretching process that opens up my my air box, really, my air box where my lungs are sitting. And if I can open it up, and make it a bigger box, I get the same effect as a bigger drum. I get more sound, really, and it's not that much more effort. The kind of effort it is more like what in karate they call chi or ki, aikido, tai chi. It's more like the kind of energy you get if you do breath of fire. That type of energy. It's not pushing or yelling. All right, so here we go, very carefully. I'm going to go, there's the action. Where's the reaction? Oh, I feel that in my lower back. All right, now I've got my angle sort of like that, from my mouth, my lips actually, all the way down to my lower back. And now I'm going to go, let's find the free zone, which is halfway down, but really between them. And what I do is I stretch it like mad. If I can do it gradually, I can become even a musical singer instead of a screamer, right? So I go, if I have enough breath, I can come all the way back. Breath is funny. Here this morning, I need to warm up my breath, not my voice. So warming up should be this, warming up your stretch, your interior stretch, right? So if I do a miniature cough, and I do that one, then my action is more directly from my lower back up against here. That means that my directional process is this way now, from back to front, whereas before I was doing this one. If I do the one straight down and go, it reacts straight up, see? So I stretch this way and this way, I go like this. See? The idea is you not only can make it bigger and fuller and all that, but you can sing bigger parts that way without endangering your voice. There is no pressure on my vocal cords. There's no extra pressure on my larynx and my throat or anything. In fact, the throat feels like it's invisible. Feels like it's not there. Because the action, the energizing is all this way or this way. So if I go, now that came from my back against my sternum. So I'm going to go, I've got the direction. I'm going to, but I still got pressure on both points as I decrescendo. I don't give up the pressure. If I do that, it just collapses and I won't be able to sing anything. So I wanted to follow this up. I wanted to follow up the last tape we made, which was learning how to find the free zone. And then once we got in the free zone, then we have to learn how to expand it. Now, certain singers do it different ways. Some of the singers do it like they will freeze one side of it, right? Let's say I freeze one of them down low in my back. I go, and I've got it frozen back there. Now, when I expand, I'm only going to expand one direction. But I'll still keep that pressure of my diaphragm, the breath against my diaphragm, and of course the pressure back there becomes a still pressure and sort of permanent while I'm singing. So I can either go this way, or I can hold one of them and do the other one, or I can do what Leonard Warren did, which is freeze the front and move everything with the back. So if I freeze the front, I go, la, 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 la. This is frozen. It doesn't move. That's one of those stopped parameters. If these are parameters, we talked about that in the last video I did. But my parameter, where's my action right now? That time I put my action back here. Because this is absolutely still, I'm not allowed to move it. So I can't really make an action other than maybe making like a wall. But if I make a wall and I go, la, then you can call that one in the back reaction. But if I do that one first, it's the action, and the reaction's up here. You know, the latter would be the same if I turned it upside down. You're still leaning against the wall, right? You would have one end of it leaning against the wall, being busy leaning, and gravity's got it, and on the floor, you would have another kind of energy holding it on the floor. So this kind of energy at both ends is what we are really after. Now, let's say I get the muscles in the back of my neck on each side of my cervical vertebra, and I tense them by pulling my head back. Some of you have seen this one before, but I'm pulling my head backwards against my hands. My hands are pulling forward, my head's pulling backwards. Now if I do this, I go, where's the action and where's the reaction? Well, the action is definitely in the back of my neck. Where's the reaction? All of a sudden I realize it's down here in front somewhere. So if I sing between that, and I've got the free zone, I go, la, 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 la. If I want to suddenly go like that, then I can make one of those, it's called a sforzando, or a subito fortissimo. In Italian, they have a phrase con slancio, which means with enthusiasm. So you suddenly hit the note big and make it big. It's very useful, and it's a way to sing bigger, especially over time. If you don't make too many demands of yourself and give yourself a chance, this can really turn into something. Like when I sang this way, I'm telling people offered me Tannhäuser and Siegfried and Tristan, and then I got all the and I said, no, you don't understand. This is an effect I'm making with my breath. I'm not a heavy voice at all, right? So now someone like Aureliano Pertile, who sang all of the dramatic tenor roles at La Scala all during the Second World War, a fabulous tenor and very famous tenor at the time, because he was like the dramatic tenor in the world before Delmonico. And he used his pectoral muscles, he said. So now if I do this and I go la la, the other thing he wrote in his book, he drew diagrams. He said he stopped the breath, pa pa, and he stopped it right in the middle of the mouth hole, right here. So if I do that, pa pa, now if I span my airbox or my column, whichever direction, you got to figure out what direction is and where's the action and where's the reaction, because it's crucial that you go in the same direction. So if I go pa, pa, I've got it stopped up here in front, but I feel it way down here in my lower back, which means I'm like that. If I'm like that, that means when I get ready to expand, I've got to stretch that way and that way. So let's see if it works. It works. So when we do what I call breath stops, actually Lily Lehman called them breath stops. I stole the word from her. She had other phrases, Staumethode, which means a jamming and stopping method. A traffic jam in German is a Verkehrsverstauung, which means a traffic jamming up. We call it a traffic jam, right? A dam in a river that stops the river and fills the reservoir, that's called a Staudamm. It's a type of dam that the verb is stauen, which means to stop it up or to jam it and stop it with pressure against it, right? They asked the most famous, actually the greatest baritone in history, they think, was Mattia Battistini. And they asked him, how do you sing? He said, I press my chest. Well, what does that mean? Here's my chest. I'm going to press it. What do I press it with? La! I don't have any other tool except my breath. So I press it with my breath. From where? La! Pressing from right here. Right? He was called the king of the bel canto baritones. If I sing like that, the idea is, if I have enough breath, I can play with it, do all kinds of things with it, and still have enough breath left to back up and maintain pressure at both points. Someone like, let's say, Jussi Björling sang with his breath stop right here. Pa. Where is it coming from? So you've got to establish the point, let's say, I started to say the point of leaning. You've got to establish your two parameters. One of them is the action, and the other is the reaction. And very often the action's in behind you, on your back or somewhere, and the reaction's in the front. Manuel Garcia II did this the same famous thing called the miniature cough. Miniature cough, the action's in the back, and it goes up against here. See that? So I'm coughing, but I'm coughing against this spot. Now, if I sing that way, that means this is the reaction, and that's the action. So I have to establish it and go. If I want to do the crescendo, I start small, with pressure, but I start small. That's plenty of voice for most things that a voice like mine would sing. But once in a while I would do something to boost things a little bit. I would do one of these weird things and people say, oh my gosh, you're a Helden tenor. I said, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not going to try to do that all night. Are you kidding? I'll kill myself. The idea is to find a way to use it musically and artistically and vocally. Of course, it's very healthy for the voice because palatally expanded in the front, and you go. So he expands everything. And what he said was in his pectoral muscles, right here. Some of the guys use different ones. Some of them use verticals, and someone like Franco Corelli sang behind the glottal stroke. So if I go, all right, where's the action? What did I do to get behind the glottal stroke? Certainly I feel it as a placement. We don't want to use a placement vocal style. We want to use expanding Freezone vocal style. So if I go la 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 la, all right, then you have to decide, is the action here where you went behind the glottal stroke, or was the action down there when the breath actually did this for you and pulled everything down? All right, now what direction am I going and where are my parameters? They're this way and this way. So go la. See? I know it sounds a little weird, but it really does work. And you use it. Sometimes you get a bad conductor who's playing everything fortissimo in the orchestra. Doesn't have a clue about holding the orchestra down. Sometimes you're in a great big theater and the orchestration gets very thick. Sometimes you're singing in the middle voice and the orchestra is much too loud, and that's the conductor's fault. But you learn how to use this, and then of course if you just want to get up and show off and sing a big note, I mean Franco Corelli, when he made his debut in London, he did Tosca, and there's a phrase in the second act of Tosca where the tenor sings Vittoria, Vittoria. Well, that's a high B flat. And they timed Corelli in his debut there, and he held that note for 17 seconds. So the idea is, if you're a good, shall we say, expander, you can use that in crescendo and get bigger and bigger. All these stories about Caruso taking a high note fortissimo, holding it, and then crescendoing it. And the other one who could do that was Helge Rosswanger. They both could take a high note, a big high note, and then hold it, and then crescendo it, right? Well, obviously, this particular thing I'm talking about, this was very developed in them, and some singers do develop it more than others, and no doubt about it. Now, another thing is, in the old days, this crescendo decrescendo vocalese was sort of the one that everybody used to teach singing and to learn to sing. And all the other vocalises they did were to teach you how to use your voice as a musical instrument. If I do arpeggi, la, la, that's to teach me use my voice as a musical instrument. Usually apply a legato to those. But there is one that we do which is strictly for breath control, which is what the voice is. The voice is a wind instrument. You got a vibrating reed up here. We call them vocal cords, but they vibrate like a reed. And then you got air boxes and air columns and all kinds of possibilities of air underneath them to freely vibrate. And if you do that, the rule of the bigger the drum, the bigger the sound. Not only bigger, but deeper, and has more color, more resonance. You know, a snare drum goes rat-a-tat-tat. And you take the head off the snare drum and put it on, it's got a big Africa drum, and it goes boom, boom. It picks up a lot of overtone, not just volume, but more color also. So the idea is, if I'm going to do this, and I start, la, 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 where's the action and where's the reaction? I feel it down in the middle of my body somewhere. If I can get clear the directional process, I can do that to it and pull it at both ends, and then I can swell that tone up. I've got to have tons of breath, especially in the morning, which I don't have, to be able to decrescendo that probably, because I must maintain the pressure as I decrease the size of my air box, and I'm getting actually a smaller drum as I go, and things are getting softer. I still have to maintain the pressure of the two parameters. See, it's a little bit complicated. If you have a question about it, write me and ask me. I'll try to explain it. It's a little bit hard to talk about. One reason it sort of got lost in modern teaching. Now they think you just lift your saw palette or something. Well, if I do that, guess what it does? All it does is change my phonation. I still have to blow enough air to be able to sing like that. I sang the bass in college. They sing, but nobody can hear me. Every time one violin would play, I'd be covered. See? So I finally started singing, do nothing in the mouth, do nothing in the throat, do nothing in the tongue. The first rule of the bel canto school was no action in the throat, jaw, or tongue. So if I do those three and I keep them free, how do I sing? I can't sing. I don't have anything to sing. So I've got to find another way to sing. See? I can either sing with my face, my long dropped face like I'm asleep. I can sing like that. Well, makes my voice sound heavier and fatter, and do I want that? The other one was the famous Lamperti school, which I learned back a long time ago from a Lamperti school product. Let your teeth touch very lightly. Bring the lips down so they almost touch. And then just drop your chin. La, 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 la. If I do one of my stretches on that one, hold on, it's that dance with the phone.
Jennifer Trimble would like to talk.
Anyway, if I do one of those stretches I'm talking about on that formation, and I've got where's the action and where's the reaction? That's the first thing to find out. So I go la 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 la. I just drop my chin, so there's no action there. La la la. The action's down here somewhere. Where's the reaction? Or maybe the action's in my back. And I feel it here. So I'm going to see if I can expand that way, right? So right? Anyway, I wanted to touch on this today because I wanted to follow up the last video that we did, which is all about finding your free zone. And they're you have to be very careful with language, with diction, because some of these languages create a lot of action, and that causes reaction. You know, if I say mine Herz, it's very busy. Herz, where does it react? All of a sudden I'm like that. I sound like one of those movies where I met the East German accent, and they're talking like that to everybody, you know? But the truth is you're not supposed to use your throat, your jaw, your tongue. You got to figure out another way to do it. So I go, Herz. Now it's down here. Herz, there it is. Herz. So Loud Smellcrow, and I worked with him, he used Halla. He would create this process from the action in the back and put a big reaction in the front. Halla. And he'd hold it there. If I do that, can I then expand it or not? Yes. So this is touching on something that is, a lot of people say, it's just yelling and screaming. Okay, fine, then don't yell and scream, don't use it. You want to impress somebody at an audition? But the problem is, they will say, "Oh my gosh, you're a dramatic voice, and that's not what you want to get." No, 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 no. You know, the idea is that it literally happened to me where I had big success with Meister Singer von Nuremberg, and all of a sudden I didn't get any offers to do anything except Wagner, 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 Wagner. So I had to bargain. I said, "All right, I'll do Parsifal for you, but I want 4 Traviatas and 4 Rigolettos." Okay. Then they would give me the repertoire. And so I got to sing. I built a big repertoire, 64 roles, plus a lot of all the big concerts, you know. And, you know, Verdi Requiem and things like that. The ones that you really could sing out, so to speak. But you must always know where the action is and what the reaction is to it. And don't be deceived. Sometimes these that we feel so much up here, like, it seems like it's so busy up here, but the truth is, it could be that it's coming from the back. Now this one is interesting because it does this. It clamps before I start singing. Therefore, we can assign the action to this one because I'm clamping. If I do this, that action is coming from my back. But my back is now reacting to this one. Get it? It's a little bit complicated, but you can get it straight. You just start thinking about where did I do something and how did it respond. See? If I go, well, you might say that won't work unless I send air from my back, but I'm already putting my lips down on my tongue like this. If I don't do that, it won't buzz, won't trill. So I call that one the action. Now I'll look back there and see where the reaction is. La, la. Doesn't cost you a thing. I've had 4 babies, 2 girls and 2 boys in my lifetime. They're all grown up now, of course. I'll be 85 shortly. I'm 85 years old shortly. And, you know, I've got a child nearly 60 years old. Anyway, the idea is that when babies cry, they don't feel good or they're sick or whatever reason they want to, they cry like that. And believe me, they never get hoarse. It never damages the voice, ever. If a baby gets hoarse, you got to call the doctor. They got a germ. Because will never, ever hurt your vocal cords. Their work is all down here. There's no work up there. That's just vibrating. It's not doing anything. And you notice the kind of phonation I end up with, what kind of I'm singing? I have to do something to make the darker one. Where's the action? See, if I do the darker I mentioned Laus Melchior a while ago. Studied with him about 6 months. And you got to figure, what was he doing? Because if I don't do anything, and all I do is just send my breath from my back against some stopping point somewhere, right? Tetrasini said, just lean the breath over against your sternum. So breathe down, way down behind you, and then lean the air column over against your sternum. So if I do that, all right, now what do I do to expand my that air column? It's in this direction, which means I have to go like this now. See? I don't know if it's very pretty, but sometimes you can use it. It depends on, if I'm doing Wagner and I use it can be very useful. See? Ein Schwer verhieß mir der Vater, ich fänd es an höchster Not. See, it's very useful for that. It's not necessarily useful if you're going to sing, if I'm going to sing Traviata. Then I'm using a piece of it instead of that whole big pressure expansion that I use when I want to make some of the bigger sounds. But the process is still action, reaction, but not so much of it. You know, you got Malo Lescaut, he's got where she says, he repeats what she said to him, which was her name, and he goes like that. mi chiamo. Now, what was the action? What was the reaction? Where was my free zone? And did I expand it? Or not? I could expand it a lot, right? But shall I expand it at all? What if I just go, ma non esco mi chiamo? Is that enough voice for me to sing De Grieux in Ma non esco by Puccini? That's the question. What kind of natural voice, you know that word, what kind of voice do you have, and how much do you have to enhance your resonance? If you do any enhancing, you don't use your throat. No yawning, no spreading, no nothing. You notice I don't do any active covers. My voice covers, but I don't do any lifting or turning over. La, 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 la. I don't do anything. I do everything with the action-reaction system and the amount of expansion that I want to use for that particular phrase or that music. Got it? All right, so that's a good touch on this. We'll just call this Freezone 2 - expansions, something like that. Okay? All right. See you later. Bye.